The Haunting of Devgarh, a truck driver's nightmare. Rajiv was an experienced truck driver, known for navigating the treacherous mountain roads of Himachal Pradesh. One night, he was assigned to transport goods from Shimla to a remote village near the Indo-Tibetan border. His route was unfamiliar, and the journey was long. As he drove through the winding roads, the dense fog obscured his vision. The headlights of his truck barely cut through the thick mist, and the silence of the night felt unnerving. After hours of driving, he reached the outskirts of Devgarh, an old village he had heard of in passing. The village had been abandoned decades ago, or so the locals claimed. Tales of mysterious disappearances and strange occurrences kept people away. But Rajiv, being a practical man, dismissed such stories as mere superstition. As he entered the village, he realized something was off. There were no street lights, no signs of life, only a cluster of broken huts and ruined houses. The village was swallowed in darkness. Suddenly his truck sputtered and came to a halt. "Damn it!" he muttered, trying to restart the engine, but it refused to roar back to life. To make things worse, the sky rumbled, and within minutes heavy rain began to pour. He grabbed his flashlight and stepped out, hoping to find shelter until the rain subsided. As he wandered through the village, he stumbled upon an old wooden hut, its door slightly ajar. With no other option, he entered. The inside was eerily intact. A table, a few chairs, and a cot lay in the corner as if someone had just left. The fireplace was cold, and cobwebs covered the ceiling, indicating that no one had lived there for years. Yet Rajiv felt an odd sensation, as if he was being watched. Then he heard it. Footsteps. Not his own, but someone else's. His heart pounded as he turned toward the door. Slowly, he stepped outside, only to be greeted by a sight that defied all logic. The once abandoned village was now alive. In the center of the village, a grand celebration was underway. People were dancing around a massive bonfire, dressed in traditional Himachali attire. The air was filled with the sound of folk music, laughter, and the crackling of fire. Smoke curled into the night sky, blending with the misty rain. Rajiv was frozen in disbelief. This village was supposed to be deserted, yet here it was, bustling with life. His curiosity got the better of him. He cautiously approached the revelers and tapped a man on the shoulder. "Bhai Saab, ye kya ho raha hai? Ye gaan to sansu nada ki chodiya gaya tha." "Brother, what's happening here? I heard this village was abandoned." The man turned slowly. His face was pale, his eyes hollow, as if drained of life. The moment he locked eyes with Rajiv, his mouth twisted into a horrifying scream, a blood-curdling shriek that echoed through the night. The music stopped, the laughter ceased. The villagers turned toward Rajiv in unison, their faces blank, their eyes lifeless. One by one, they opened their mouths and let out ear-piercing screams. Rajiv felt his blood run cold, his head spun, his vision blurred, and then everything went black. The awakening. When Rajiv woke up, he was lying on the wet ground outside the same wooden hut. The village was silent once again, just as he had first seen it, dark, abandoned, lifeless. The bonfire, the music, the people, gone. Had it been a dream, a hallucination? His truck was still there, parked exactly where it had broken down. Mustering courage, he ran toward it, praying it would start this time. To his relief, the engine roared to life. Without wasting a second, he sped out of Devgarh, never daring to look back. The revelation. The next morning, Rajiv reached a roadside dhaba, still shaken by the night's events. He decided to ask the old dhaba owner about Devgarh. "Babaji, maine Devgarh mein rat guzari. Wahan kuch ajeeb dekha maine." "Babaji, I spent the night in Devgarh. I saw something strange." The old man's face turned grim. "Tu wahan ruk gaya tha? You stayed there?" he asked, his voice filled with shock. Rajiv nodded. The old man sighed deeply and then spoke in a hushed voice. "Devgarh ke log ek main gayab ho gaye the." The people of Devgarh vanished in a single night. Rajiv's hands trembled. Kaise? How? Koi nahi janta. Basit na sunahai ki ek raat wahan kisi ne shadi ka jashan manaya tha. Pura gaun nach raha tha. Gara tha achanak. Sab gayab ho gaye. Koi lash nahi, koi nishan nahi. Basek suna gaun. No one knows. All we know is that one night they were celebrating a wedding. The whole village was dancing and singing, and then suddenly they all vanished. No bodies, no traces, just an empty village. Rajiv felt the blood drain from his face. Parek Bathor Hai, the old man continued. Ha sal usirat, gaun fi se jeevit ho jata hai. But there's one more thing. Every year, on that same night, the village comes alive again. Rajiv's stomach churned. Pajabi wahanun kodek leta hai. The haunting of Devgarh. Of Devgarh, the next chapter. Rajiv's restlessness. The old dhaba owner's last words sent chills down Rajiv's spine. Not yet. A flood of questions raced through Rajiv's mind. Does this mean I am in danger? Will those people, those ghosts, come looking for me? He took a deep breath, trying to calm himself, but his hands were still trembling. Inside the dhaba, people were casually sipping tea, but Rajiv felt as if someone was watching him. He slowly turned his head. There was no one. But outside the window, he sensed a shadow quickly disappearing from view. Rajiv panicked and said to the dhaba owner, Babaji, I need to leave. I have to get out of here. The old man gave a faint smile and nodded. Yes, son, but remember, sometimes the ones who escape never really escape. They're just waiting for death to catch up with them. Rajiv paid the bill without another word and rushed outside. Terrifying events on the road. The night had grown darker. Rajiv started his truck and sped away, eager to leave Devgarh far behind, but within minutes, strange things began happening. In the truck's rearview mirror, he saw someone. Someone was sitting in the back seat. He quickly looked again. No one was there. His head was spinning. This is just my imagination. It's all in my mind, he tried to reassure himself. But then the shadow reappeared in the mirror. This time it was closer. And then a whisper. Rajiv. Rajiv's blood ran cold. He wanted to slam the brakes and stop the truck, but then the steering wheel locked. The brakes stopped working. The truck was moving on its own, as if an invisible force was controlling it. His breath quickened. He pressed the brakes with all his strength, but the truck kept going, faster and faster. And then she appeared. Suddenly Rajiv saw something on the seat beside him, a woman.